For me, the Tantra is about presence. Presence and connection to yourself, to the other, and to life and to the universe. So I attract people that come for healing, that want to get to know themselves better, that have traumas around sexuality, that are just curious. People from all different ages, from like 20 to 75. People that are really in need for change, and people that just want to explore the power of the sexual energy. So it's a big variation, and the more variation there is in the group, the more the energy starts to flow.
Welcome to this new episode, and today I am with Leonie. How are you, Leonie?
I'm very good.
Very nice. So Leonie is a very powerful Tantra teacher, and possibly at the moment the most famous Tantra teacher in Koh Phangan. So it's very exciting to be here indeed with her, because Tantra is a big thing in Koh Phangan. So tell me, Leonie, how did you get into Tantra?
Started, I think, almost 10 years ago on Koh Phangan. Now I live in Koh Phangan, but I was on a holiday in Koh Phangan. And I remember in that time I was not happy with my relationships, or the last relationship I was in. I felt on the sexual level that I was missing something. I felt, after the lovemaking, I felt some emptiness. I felt I was only interested in it for the first few months, and after that, if a longer relationship, I would get less interested. So I was in my mind complaining about it, and sitting on a beach in Koh Phangan and reading a book. And I was reading a book about a guy who went into the monastery for 15 years, and he used to be in some kind of managing a rock band, and he decided to change his life and also don't have any sexual encounters. And at that moment, when I was sitting on the beach and reflecting about my love life and complaining about it, and I was reading this book, and then I thought maybe I just should become celibate and stop with any lovemaking, and because I feel it's something missing, and I don't know what it is. And at that moment, because it's Koh Phangan, somebody started to talk to me suddenly. Yeah, actually, he was a friend of mine. And at that moment, I couldn't contact my friend. Already for 2 days, something happened with his phone, and I only knew him on the island. So I was reading the book, and he started to talk to me, and he was like, his name was Roy from Israel. And then he said, "What are you doing?" And I said, "Well, I'm reading my book, but I don't know." And he said, "Oh, you want to come with me, and we can go explore the island a bit." And because I knew him already a bit, and he was a friend of my friend, I thought like, yeah, why not? And then a journey started, and he appeared to be a Tantra teacher. And eventually we ended up in a lovemaking. And then I discovered the power of Tantra, at least on the level of the lovemaking. And it was such a beautiful experience, and it was such a spiritual experience. It was really going beyond the mind, and in the lovemaking I felt all my chakras opening, and I didn't know what tantric lovemaking was at all, but I felt it opening, and I felt I was making love to the divine.
Wow.
And it was, I was rising also above all my issues I have around this area, or insecurities, or anything, blockages. I could, with him, straight away rise above it and really feel spirit moving through us. And it was like, afterwards, I felt like I was flying. I felt fulfilled. I felt like very feminine, open. And I remember meeting my friend again that I didn't see for a few days, and he saw me, and he was like, "Wow, what happened to you?" Yeah.
Wonderful. Possibly one of the best ways to get introduced into the Tantra philosophy, right? Through the love making, which is indeed a beautiful practice. So you're saying that through the love making you were able to transcend sort of the ego and have a peak experience of bliss and joy, something you haven't experienced before, is that right? So
Yeah, it was like love making with the universe. It's not just a sexual connection, or I like him, or I find him attractive, or it was something beyond that I couldn't really explain, but that was deeply nourishing and healing my body and really connecting me to a consciousness that was, I cannot really explain, but it was, going beyond just the physical experience. Which is very beautiful and magic.
Fantastic. So you said, I like this thing for sure, and then you started on a path to like learn and develop. I mean, what was your journey up until now? Because obviously now you are very established as a Tantra teacher in Koh Phangan, running retreats, etc. And from that moment of discovery, what happened there?
What happened? So then I went back to Holland, but I was curious. I came back again to Koh Phangan, and I moved to Koh Phangan. And then I started to do workshops.
Mm-hmm.
And one other thing that really was, that made me go more into Tantra is because for many years I used to work as a psychologist.
Oh, okay, very good, yes.
In the clinical field, so I worked a lot with people with trauma, fear disorders, depression. And when I started to, and myself, I was always working on myself at the same time. For me, giving therapy, unconsciously, it's like receiving therapy. It's really a beautiful journey of also getting to know yourself much better. When I started to go to Tantra workshops, for me, the power of moving through defense mechanisms, moving through trauma and healing certain parts of yourself that have been abandoned is so quick and so efficient because you're working with the energy of the group. So that for me, like I was like, wow, you can sometimes talk for a whole year about something, but the moment you go into 10-minute eye gaze with someone, you start to move through things that you maybe would have run away in a one-on-one session. So I also saw and the beautiful thing about Tantra is that we can add dancing, music, we can add laughter, sensuality, add the sexual energy, but really use it for healing, opening up the heart, the third eye. So I saw wow, there's a much more gentle, beautiful way to go on the path of healing and transformation and then go to the celebration. Then I learned through therapy.
Yeah.
So that was also one of the ways I was like, wow, I can use the knowledge of my psychology and then blend it into the Tantra to create a safe space. So it was really like an eye-opener for me.
That's beautiful indeed, because psychology is wonderful, and in the Western world we are very much about the mind, isn't it? But the body and the spirit are also there, and if you can find ways to tap into your body and be very embodied and present, and to trigger some sort of emotional energy, then there's so much magic in our chemistry that can be triggered, right? And I think some of the exercises that you describe have the function indeed to release this energy and move it in the body, and people experience these amazing states of connection and transcendence.
My Tantra, I call Tantra from the heart.
Mm-hmm.
So I started with a story about that I got introduced to it through the lovemaking. But I really want to point out that it's so much more than that. Mm-hmm. For me, the Tantra is about presence and connection to yourself, to the other, and to life, and to the universe. So I attract people that come for healing, that want to get to know themselves better, that have traumas around sexuality, that are just curious. People from all different ages, from 20 to 75. Mm-hmm. People that are really in need for change, and people that just want to explore the power of the sexual energy. So it's a big variation, and the more variation there is in a group, the more the energy starts to flow. Yeah, so I love it to attract all kinds of people. People who are very in the mind, people are very present, people have been on the path for a long time, people are totally new. And in a way, sometimes it doesn't matter where you're coming from. It's like, when you step into the journey, often something happens from whatever angle you're coming.
That's beautiful. And what is the challenge of holding a space for like 20, 30 people on a journey in Tantra? I mean, it's something that you developed, and I know that you do it very naturally now, like a second nature to you by now. But it's not, I mean, I'm sure it's not so easy sometimes, because people might have emotions that need to be dealt with. They might, have revelations about themselves, insecurities, all sorts of triggers coming up, right?
Yeah, I sometimes say it's like psychology, but the next level. Because if it's a one-on-one session, it's much more easier. But when it's a group, in a way, it's more easy. In a way, it's much more challenging, because so much can come up, and everybody is totally different. So one can have a blissful experience and be like, yeah, well, the other one goes back into a memory of trauma, or the other one, nothing happens. It's like, no, it's too much in the mind, so no experience. So that's what I call the art. So for me, it's like an art of trying to create a safe container, or doing everything to create a safe container, and involving everyone, and being aware of all the little details, and really tuning into the energy of the group and the individual. And from there, navigate. So often I change the program, I change the plan we have, because you need to be tuned in, because it's changing all the time, and especially in a group. Yeah. So one of the things I really try to do is to be fully present, feel, and let myself be led. So not leading from the mind, but let the energy guide me. And that's how I try to deal with all the different things coming up. And I use my background as a psychologist, a clear framework on how to create a safe space. Yeah.
Yes, that's absolutely beautiful. I also know that you like breath work, because you were still running rebirthing, a different kind of breath work. So when you do your Tantra from the Heart retreats, what major elements are there? There's always an element of breath work, I suppose.
Yeah.
You already talked about the eyes gazing. Is there any other kind of like a technique or element in the retreat that you like to share?
Yes, so we have different retreats. Now we also start to have different levels, and more that people already done a retreat, that they can continue, and they don't need to repeat things. So the elements, breathwork, one is important, because we can move energy through breath, sound, and movement, and the breath is the direct anchor to the present, and we can use it as a healing tool. So it's very essential, and the breath can really help to release anything that's blocking our natural life force energy. We work with polarities. So the masculine and feminine essence that we both carry inside of us. So it's not like separation man-female, but we both have these polarities inside of us, the yin and the yang. And we can play with that, and from there create electricity inside of us, and also with others. But it's a long story, I need to explain that.
Sure.
Yeah, yes, and we do a lot with, releasing shame, guilt, fear. That's also things we hold against ourselves, to allow ourselves to relax in who we are at this moment. So we don't need to be perfect. So that's another very important element. We work with the energy body. So the realization that it's so much more than just the physical body. So in Tantra, the energy body is very important.
Sure.
Yeah.
Leonie, tell me about Koh Phangan. You already mentioned that Koh Phangan was the place where you found Tantra, and you've been coming back for almost 10 years.
It pulls me in, and it keeps me here, because there's something magical here. I find the nature amazing, the freedom of, I can many times I lose my flip-flops, my shoes, I don't have shoes, and I find it out a week later, like, oh yeah. So this freedom of being able to move easily where I want to go, to be connected to nature, to not wear shoes. Because that was always before I moved and was living in Amsterdam, I was like, I want to live somewhere where I don't need to wear shoes. Freedom, it makes me breathe with everything, and yeah, it's magical.
But surely, being on an island connected with nature, isn't it wonderful, yeah?
Yeah, and that's for me Tantra.
Like you said, yeah, indeed, the nature is...
In nature is...
The Shakti energy of nature, yeah, absolutely. The energy of creativity, change, transformation, and birth.
Yeah, and here it's very easy to tap into it. Yeah.
I feel it too.
Yeah.
Well, Leonie, thank you very much for this little chat today. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
When is your next group workshop, or do you have a date yet? Because I know you've done one recently.
Level 2, 30th of July to 1st of August. Mm-hmm. And a level 1, 2 weeks later. I forgot the exact date.
Brilliant. So that means you're going to be here. So very nice.